I know, that's what I said, we thought about you.
Yes.
All right, so out of respect for your guys' time, one, we appreciate everybody showing up this morning. And we're going to open up in prayer, and then we'll kind of fill you in on what this morning is going to look like. So, gentlemen, please bow with me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this morning and this opportunity that we have to come together and fellowship as believers together. And we just thank you for the school and what it represents and what it means and the opportunity that we have to send our kids to a place that acknowledges you first. And everything that we do falls under that. And we just ask that you bless this time. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. And so this really came out of was, what we did at Parent Orientation. We launched our 5 pillars. And one of those is community. And so here at Liberty, we believe that this is a family. And for us specifically, this is an athletic family. And families get together and families fellowship and they get to know each other. And so what we want to do is make conscious efforts to offer ourselves in different avenues to get to know our family. And so that's what this was. And being that it is in the winter, we wanted to offer our winter head coaches an opportunity to share a little bit about their program and how they're following these pillars. And of course, that's going to look different, and you'll hear that here in a few minutes. We have a couple of our head winter coaches that have first period classes, and so we're going to skip right ahead and move into you guys getting an opportunity to hear from them. And then once they have to head out, I'll come back and share some general athletic ideas and things that we're doing here. So again, thank each and every one of you guys for showing up. But we're going to start off with just going through our head coaches here. And guys, if y'all would give your name, sport in which you're the head coach of, and we're going to start off just with a general overview of where we're at with each program. And we'll start down here with Ken Burrows. General overview, just where we're at, things that are going on.
I'm Ken Burrows, I'm the head girls basketball coach. Right now we are just started district last night, and we're at our Ursuline 1. We've got a good group of girls that's talented, but they're good kids, and that's really the most important thing. Is I'm really having a great time with them. They work hard, they love one another, and it's been a fun season so far. We got a couple of injuries that we're trying to nurse back, and I don't know, that's all part of it. But we've won a couple of tournaments and placed third in another one just recently in New Braunfels. So it's been a good year, and we've got great kids at all levels. Our 7th and 8th grade have got just small numbers in the 8th, pretty good numbers in the 7th, and then we've got 12 JV girls and 10 varsity girls. So our numbers are really good up and kind of a little bit down, but they love the game and they play hard and they're great kids to be around. So we're very excited about this season at all levels.
I'm Charles Freak. I'm the boys basketball coach. We are at the varsity level. We're 6-11. I'm really pleased with where they are. Couldn't be happier with them. We start district on Friday, and I think we'll do well and we'll get better. On the sub-varsity teams, we have a lot of numbers, which is really good. We've been competing against 6 and 5A teams, and that's really hard. And so now that we're in district, I think we'll have more success on those like sub-varsity teams. This last weekend, our JV won 3rd place in a tournament, which I was really proud of, and they beat, for 3rd place, they beat a 6A team, which is really strong. There's good numbers in every grade, up and through from 7th grade to varsity, and have good coaches that are loving on them and teaching them.
I'm Hesper Matzo. I coach Liberty Swim. Yes, we have a swim team.
This year, I actually doubled the team and went from 3 to 7, so quite exciting for varsity. A great group of kids. I mean, definitely a really strong community, not only in the varsity level, but also into the middle school level. My varsity team, I've got a wonderful, wonderful set of kids that are just precious to me, and I'm very blessed to coach them. Hardworking, and I look forward to a great future with us. Unfortunately, we don't have stats that are very easy. We don't have a big enough team to compete or place for varsity. But the kids that I do have are all working very hard. Their times are reflective in the pool and their, results. And just seeing them come together as one is wonderful.
I'm Coach Smith, head wrestling coach here at Liberty. Our season started off pretty well. We've got pretty good numbers. We've grown a lot in the past, this is my 6th year. Our program's based on relationship and building relationship, and the foundation of where the program's grown is because they all join a sense of community and brotherhood that we have inside the room. Inside that room, it's a little different mentality. So we got to get kids that are a little, can take it at the chin, and we start off with the youth and they get used to just rolling around. Go into the middle school and start to learn a little bit more technique, and then as we develop into the high school program. The success has been, pretty proud of the boys. We've we've won a couple state titles. And I guess if that's based, but really, I think our relationship with each other and our sense of community and helping other people out as well. I think that's really where the program's at. A lot of people don't even get an opportunity to see that because you win a state title, and that's where the bar is set, I guess. And I think we do a really good job of building that, and then also looking to the future. We went to preseason nationals this year, and we've gone 3 other years. This is our first All-American we had this year, the freshman. And then just last weekend we were in Enid, Oklahoma, one of the toughest tournaments in the nation. And out of 25 teams, we placed 20th, but we had 3 freshmen that went into the gold bracket and ended up turning some people upside down. So, and one All-American out of that, and a freshman as well. So our program, the more kids I have an opportunity just to connect with. We had a boy, I don't know about, maybe I'm not talking too much, I will. Had a boy last year that didn't come out this year because he had an injury, and he sat out on the bicycle yesterday and was watching the room. And after practice he came and he said, "Hey, I really miss it. I'm hoping I can get it together and come back in." And I told him, I said, "You don't miss it as much as I miss you." I don't really want, I'm glad and I'm proud of the kids for winning state titles, but I think building that relationship with them and hanging out with them. We go on long bus rides to Iowa, to Oklahoma, to Louisiana, and Pennsylvania. And that relationship, there's things that boys have said, and I get to develop that or be able to connect with that. And it's like my own little, I call them my own little ministry. So they're stepchildren in some way, and they have the freedom to call me at any time at night. They're just, it's a brotherhood. So, and that's what I think our program's based on, and I think it's taken a little time to build that, but it was kind of already in the process of being developed. So we went from 7 boys in middle school to probably 30 boys in middle school. So it'll continue to grow as long as we're good stewards of it. So, sorry, I might be on too far.
I get to follow wrestling. I'm Chrissy Stoner, I coach soccer. I think for me, a lot of what he said is true. It's just relationships, and when I got hired here, I remember talking to Coach Vest and saying, like, the relationship with the athletes, that's more important to me, because I feel like wins will come and our program will grow. I had 9 kids on the roster when I was hired, and I have 19 playing now. So, and I have kids that have never played ever before or even gone out for sports. So I think for me, just teaching in the middle school, that's kind of an opportunity for me to grow the program and to get kids interested in soccer. Because with it being a winter sport, we have to share with a lot of different sports. Had some volleyball girls come out, and it was tough for them because they missed the first part, but making them feel like they're part of the team even though they're not out there, that's a big thing for us. And then having to share with basketball, because we have a lot of select soccer players who choose to play basketball because they're getting the soccer outside of school. And so that's kind of been a challenge for me, but really just growing the program and letting the girls know that I care about them. I was telling my husband, I'm like, I think I probably text them too much and tell them how much I appreciate them and I just love them and I'm thankful for them. And I look forward to really just growing it and challenging myself to see if we can bring enough girls out to have a JV team or girls to support the program, you know, even through middle school. I know we have a lot of girls playing right now in middle school, and so my goal for the soccer program is really just to keep growing it and show them, you know, the value of playing it here at Liberty.
I'm David Neal. I'm our boys strength and conditioning coach. So I'm for everybody every male athlete goes through me, middle school all the way up. And this is my first year of the job, and so this year has been really about foundation building. I'm trying to build kind of our image in the weight room, kind of trying to build our culture in there, that when you come in, how you're gonna work, how you're gonna act. I mean, my main goal with guys is I'm trying to build young men of Christ-like character. I want them to be better athletes, I want them to be bigger, faster, stronger, all that stuff, but if I don't build young men of character, and they don't know how to walk Christ after being with us in there, then I'm not doing my job. And there's a lot of really tough days I put them through. I think one of our hashtags is Forged by Fire. We go through a lot of really hard off-season and in-season workouts. And I think through that, they bond together as teams, they come together as men, and they learn a lot about themselves that they can take for the rest of their lives. I really truly believe that. I think being in the weight room as a young man built me into the man I am, and I really think that our young men, when they go through what I put them through, they develop characteristics that are helping the rest of their lives. Kind of our focus this year is foundation with everybody. I believe in one unified program. So I don't like guys coming in there and thinking that they're in the football program or the baseball program or the basketball program. I want them to know when they walk in that weight room, it's gonna be the same for everybody. And that builds unity among our sports, builds unity among our kids. And it lets kids not think that they're gonna get in one program or another and be easier than the other. It's all gonna be the same stuff. Everybody's a human being. You all get stronger, you all get faster, you all get more explosive, you all get more shape the same way. So we're gonna challenge each other just like that. Kind of where we're at right now, baseball's finishing up their first off season. They've done incredibly well, worked their butts off, and they had a bunch of we tested our first speed test day yesterday. They had a bunch of really good numbers. And we're gonna test our lifts on Thursday, and they're all really excited about that. Football's jumping into off season, so they're kind of starting their first full off season with me, and they're excited about that. And then our in-season sports are working really hard too right now. Basketball just got done with their lift. What we do in season for you parents, just so you know, is as important, if not more important, than what we do in the off season. Because that's an incredible time to build and maintain strength, which protects you on the field of play, which keeps you healthy longer. And if we do a really, really good in-season program, it sets us up to grow in the off season instead of just recover. So we're having a great year all around, really building some foundation, techniques getting really good. And I think the guys are really buying in. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. In our invitation, there was an opportunity for people to submit questions. And as I mentioned earlier, our 5 pillars, and it's one thing to tell people who you are or what you want to be about, but it's another thing to execute. And so the first question that we have for our panel is, number 1 pillar for us is that our program is going to be Christ-like, number 1. And so I would like for each coach to go through, and as we mentioned earlier, it's going to look different based upon the person that's leading a program and their different skill sets. But how do you implement Christ first in your program? And we'll start down here with Ken as well.
Well, I think the thing that with our girls is, as they grow as players, one thing about girls is they've got to like each other, love each other to play with one another. Coach and I could not like each other and still play. The girls have got to like each other. So just trying to maybe just reiterate the fact, or as we talk through God's word about not being envious, not being jealous, coveting something that someone else has, loving one another. I think that's very important with all athletes, not just the girls. But so we do spend some time talking about that. Sometimes it's before practice, sometimes it's after practice. I know our girls do devotions before each game, and we've done that most of the 12 years that I've been here. I think that's important. A different girl will lead that. And We always pray after games, we pray before games. I just try to teach them, I guess, kind of like what Coach Neal said, if all I teach them is basketball, then I haven't done my job. And so it's more important to me that if there's any in that group that does not know the Lord, that's done before anything else is done. And so, yeah.
Okay, it's really cool here that we can pray before games and not get in trouble. So we always say the Lord's Prayer before the game, and we always come after the game and we have a prayer and thank God for that game. And it's always student-led. In fact, this year, we have one of our players, Matthew Grigg, that even prays when we do the national anthem and before the introduction. So we really like doing that. We always tell them that, we can have words that we talk about, but unless we carry those out, they're just words. So we just try to implement those things that Liberty stands for.
For swim, I have a fortunate time to and from the pool, because obviously we don't have a pool on campus. And so for me, it's great to have that opportunity with the kids, say after Insight. It's great to have that conversation of what that message was, same after the Jubilee, to get their insight of what's happening. And even the other day, I found a piece of paper in my car that had dissected the Lord's Prayer that one of the kids had. And so for me, I have that opportunity to talk to and from the pool about messages. We bring up different Bible quotes, but also too, it's not just about the message, it's about their character. And I really talk to them about when, oh, why is so-and-so not here? And, it's really having that message of, let's accept all, love one another, don't point out that they're not here and you saw them at school and they seem fine. That's not what we're here to do. And so for me, that's so important to be able to have that time to pour into my kids, not just on the pool deck or during the meet. It's just, that time in the car. I take away phones. They're not allowed to have phones. And so for me, it's just amazing to have these kids. Right, I stand outside my office and I have a little baggie and they all know, and now they're in the habit of, Coach, where's the phone bag? So they come and get it. And so for me, and I do give them back after practice, 90% of them still don't get off their phones on the way back to the school. And it's amazing to see this community come together. I just had kids join us in November, and so they're still in the car trying to talk to one another. And also too, I write individual workouts, and on each workout, I try to get a Bible verse that helps reflect of what our last week was, or someone's struggling, with something at school or something in their personal life. Instead of sharing with the whole team, I really try to find a verse that they can look at during practice, and I've had a few of them reflect of, what do you think Coach means by that? And so it's nice to just hear that conversation of let them lead it, and then on the way home, if I've heard a couple talk, we'll discuss it as well. And then also too, my assistant coach supports me here at the school and offers study hall to middle school. And the nice thing about that is she can also minister to them. And she's working on Devos on Fridays with them and taking that opportunity to spend that quality time with them, not just, as a head coach, but also to have that assistant be my partner through Christ in pouring to my kids. And as well, the nice thing about TAP swim meets is the entire pool prays together. And so for us, that's a big thing for those kids to understand that it's not just a Liberty base. It's to see all the other teams come together, and they do it over the microphone, and so it's wonderful for us to not only be the only team there, and the same thing with public meets, though, we still come together. It's not something that I will say it's very nice for the public schools to be quiet around us when they see us huddle and to say a prayer, so I appreciate that, and, and our kids are standing tall and knowing that Christ comes first in our program, and they exemplify that every day.
We do something similar, I guess everybody, we pray after every practice. We pray, I have a chaplain, I just decided, the Lord presses on my heart during the summer, usually changes quite a bit. There's been boys, Michael Clark, who's been wheels off, to where Cameron Keller last year, to we have Mitchell Taylor. The different boys that kind of lead it then, they lead the prayer. And what's probably the most, some of the cool things is when other kids join in our prayer group when we are praying before we wrestle. I think that's kind of nice that they built those relationships and they see that. And then the other thing is, I like to make sure that the boys know that I should be, if I'm coaching on this mat and there are 3 matches over and they win or lose, I should be able to look over and not be able to tell that. I think that being humble and respectful of the opponent that's out there that you're battling against, it's one thing you're holding a guy against his will on his back, but when you get up and shake his hand and nobody can tell, there's excitement at certain points, but I think that's one of the real key things in wrestling where you're one-on-one and you battle, and then you're holding somebody against the will. And then, I use Jason Witten as the example. I tell him, only because I know that every time that he scores a touchdown, he scores it like as if it's not his first time. He shakes the official's hand, walks away from him. So I use those kind of things as the example, and I think that being Christ-like in the respect that, each person can do it in their own way. Another way is as we leave every venue, we, just in Oklahoma, we were just there, and I went to get trash bags from the tournament director, and as I was walking up, I got one. As I was walking up, one of the boys, Hunter Stinnett, Coach, we already beat you, we got one. And they had already cleaned up the stands, and tried to do that prior to me even mentioning it to us. So I think those kind of stewardship things, even though like I said, they're my stepchildren, but they're in a little bit of a misfit in some ways, but if you watch them and their demeanor outside of the wrestling room and how they are in school, it shows a lot of their character. So I think those kind of things that I try to provide and try to mentor and be a mentor to them, that's where we're at in the program.
So I kind of do a lot of the same things everybody has mentioned. We pray at every practice, every game. When I got hired here, I really felt like the Lord was talking to me, and Isaiah just is like the book for me this year. But I shared with my kids a scripture that kind of stood out to me kind of before I started, and really what I wanted to live with this year. And they actually chose to put that on the back of their warm-up shirts, which I thought was really cool. And I've talked to them so much about how, there's just so much more than just what's going on in that 90-minute soccer game, and really winning like a champion and losing like a champion, and it's really cool to me because last game we did not win, but we played good. We didn't win, but it was really, I think, more an impression of what they were thinking. They said, Coach, I heard some of the other team they were saying stuff, and we just don't want to be like that. Liberty's different. We're just different. And for me, that was kind of rewarding because I've been speaking that on them all year, and really knowing like character and how to act on and off the field, like Coach Smith was saying. And Peyton Wanaka, I don't know if you guys know her, but she actually spoke at a Devo that the staff went to earlier in the year. And this was before I knew she was going to come out for soccer because she's a softball player. And I was just so impressed with just her wisdom and her maturity and the things that she was saying. And, I've asked her to kind of head up, in the spring, we're going to be doing some volunteer work, some missionary work locally. And she was so beyond excited to take that on. She said, Coach, I've got so many things I'm doing right now, and I'd love to share it with the team. And so that's kind of where our program is heading. So I feel like service is so important. And, it can be service just to your brothers and sisters around campus, to your parents, to your actual siblings. But I feel like kind of getting out there in the community and showing, hey, Liberty Soccer, or just Liberty Christian in general, they are walking with their learning, and they're walking with their teaching. And I just feel like showing that you are walking your faith is really important. So that's kind of the direction of the soccer program, because I feel like, if you're going to be here and be able to enjoy the freedoms that we have to pray and to worship, then, why not spread that with others so they can see it?
I get the unique opportunity to kind of put the kids, the young men, I don't like calling them kids, I like calling them, I think people will rise to the expectation you put on them. So you'll hear me talk to them. I never call them kids, I always call them men, because I expect them to be that. So I put the expectations on them. I call them what I expect them to happen. Anyways, so I get to put our young men into situations they're probably not used to. Very, very uncomfortable situations. A lot of the times after a really hard workout outside, maybe we're pushing the sleds or grinding it out in the weight room, they are frustrated and tired and probably in more pain than they're used to being in. And you get to see a young man's character come out in that situation. And maybe he's contained all day over here. He can control himself, say the right things, but all of a sudden you put that pressure on him and things get exposed that haven't been exposed before. And I love those moments of a young man is just hot and losing his temper or losing his cool, or maybe he doesn't think he can do something, and getting to either push them to that expectation they've never had before, or expose a limit of their character they didn't know they had. And in those moments, I think you really can mold a young man in a way that you just can't do until you face something. Does that make sense? Like until you've faced your own personal limits, you don't know how you're gonna respond to those situations. And I think by teaching them to exemplify Christ in those moments, to control themselves when their emotions are out of control, or to push themselves when they got nothing left in the tank, that will help them the rest of their lives. And now when they, I've told this to them 1,000 times, like, when you've got a family and you don't know how you're gonna feed them because you just lost your job, that's way harder than what you're going through right now. But you'll have confidence because of what we just did. And when you're at home and you're exhausted and your family still needs you, you can still push yourself and still do the right thing because you know you can push yourself through anything because of what you've just been through. And I truly believe those things. I tell those guys those things all the time because I think that I have a unique situation to be able to put young men through something they haven't been through before. And you really learn a lot about yourself in those moments.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna head back to another song and dance and art class.
English for me. Thanks, you guys.
And so you've gotten to hear from our head coaches, and so from an athletic director's perspective, I know you guys just got to hear a little bit about what we're doing on a daily basis in our winter sports. But from my perspective, I get to see them interact on a daily basis with our athletes and your children. And I have 100% confidence that whenever athletics begins, that the people that are going to be pouring into the lives of your children are making impacts. And that's what it's all about. And so yes, our avenue is athletics, but really it's all the same thing. It's about relationships. It's about helping them grow in their relationship with Christ. And for some of our students, that's going to happen in the classroom, or that's going to happen in spiritual life. But that's what's unique about our school, is that we have people that are a part of fine arts, athletics, academics, and as a whole, the school has people in place that's pouring into the lives of, I've got kids here myself, and so I have 100% confidence each day whenever they come to school that somebody is making an impact in their life. And so as a parent, that brings me just joy, and then of course the opportunity to get to come and see that from an employee side is also very special. A couple of other pillars that we, that we've talked about is partnership, and our coaches are constantly working with our teachers. They're working with our students, and I know that you've probably had conversations with them throughout the seasons in which you're a part of. And so those are the three areas that we focus on because we understand that there's a lot of moving pieces. And I know that those things are in place, but that's how we're exemplifying that. Service, Coach Smith talked a little bit about his team and just something that they do every time, which is at the conclusion of the events they're at, we're the ones that are cleaning up. And so service isn't always an organized event that we're putting on a calendar. A lot of times it's who we are. And that's what we want people to see, is that when Liberty Christian shows up at an event, that we're different. And that's a great thing. And we have people call us all the time and say, hey, this tournament is full, or we're about full, but we want to see if you guys want to come, because we know the type of character that is coming to our tournament, and we don't have to worry about you. And so if you want to come, we're holding the spot. And so that says a lot about our coaches, that says a lot about our athletes, and what we're trying to exemplify. Also, all of our head coaches do conduct a service project throughout the year. So an opportunity for all of our athletes to come together, work together within a specific sport, and then of course give back to the community. And so that's a big thing for us. And then community, this is just a small part of what we're hoping to accomplish. Providing opportunities for people to come together, fellowship, and then hear about what we're doing. And we're going to continue to have these. Probably the next one for us is going to be as we get closer into playoffs, or right before playoffs with winter sports. And then we'll be transitioning into spring. So we may give an opportunity for spring coaches to speak at that time. And then this is something we're hoping to continue for next fall. And I think this will continue to grow as the more that we do this. couple of things I wanted to just touch base on, that you may or may not know, but just wanted to provide that information for you. We do get questions sometimes that, what about the girls program versus the boys program? And how are decisions made when it comes to, giving resources to one or the other? And a lot of times the thing that's pointed out is maybe the size of facilities that we have between the two programs. So, one, the reason that the girls' weight room is smaller than the boys' weight room is really due to sheer numbers. And so we have about twice as many boys in our athletic program as we do girls. And so the space needed to accommodate that needs to be larger. And so simply that's the reason. But about 4 years ago, whenever I was our assistant athletic director, I was in charge of our girls program at the time, and went into our girls athletic area. We increased that weight room by about 800 square feet. We bought all of the same equipment that's in the boys' weight room so that we are offering the same programs to both the boys and the girls. We went in and changed all the locker rooms. We made it more of a college feel. There's TVs and computers in there, giving opportunities for our girls' sports to watch video, which we have on the boys' side as well. And so I have confidence that our girls coming through our program have the same opportunities as our boys. And myself, I'm our head girls track coach, and I've got a daughter myself. And I want people, whether they're male or female, to come through our program and have the opportunity to have the same experience. I don't want anyone to ever come through and say, yeah, but if we were on the guy's side, then X, Y, or Z. I know that we're offering the same experiences on both sides. The next question would be then, what about budget? Is more money allocated towards the boys' side than the girls' side? And the way that we do budgets is each head coach submits the needs for their program. And so, of course, if you are a female coach that has 3 teams versus a male coach that has 1 team, there's a chance that that girls' program's budget is going to be larger than the boys. And so we don't think through things on the athletic administration side as far as gender specific. We look at things as a whole. We want to support all of our head coaches. We want to support all of our programs and make sure that they have the things needed to be successful, whether that be a coaching staff, a budget, and then of course that budget fluctuates throughout time given the different needs of the program. And so that's how we make those types of decisions. Another thing that you may have wondered as far as Warrior Club, how are those funds allocated and who gets those? The majority of the members of Warrior Club just typically do come from football. We do have a lot of different families that are from different sports, but that does not determine where those funds go. And so we as athletic administration, we utilize Warrior Club funds to help each sport with non-budgeted items. And so things that they didn't budget for that may be a need. I know this year we bought new swim jackets, and we bought soccer, new swim jackets. Last year we bought 50 new big heavy jackets because when they play it's very, very cold. And so we really take it based upon an as-need basis. And then we also try to look at a scope of what's happened over the last couple of years so that one sport isn't always receiving funds. And we're always in communication with our head coaches so that we can plan and get things on a calendar so it doesn't always hit us at one time. So those are some of the thoughts that we have as we allocate resources between gender specific and then also between each sport and as we utilize Warrior Club funds. So I'm sure everybody's got things that you're headed off to today, but this is our first Breakfast of Champions, and we just wanted to offer ourselves as an opportunity to get to fellowship with you and give you an opportunity to hear from the people that are impacting your children on a daily basis. But we're going to be around, me and Johnny, my office staff, and any of the coaches that are still here. We did have one more question, if you can answer it quickly. It was nutrition, and so I wanted David to speak just real quickly before we close. So we have, what was that?
We're going to be able to ask questions.
Yes, if there's people that are still here that can answer that for you.
We can be able to ask questions.
What was that?
At the end, is there going to be time to ask questions?
We can, or when we separate, if people have to go, we're gonna be available if you would like to ask those questions to individuals. Does that make sense?
I'm just saying, it'd be nice to be able to ask
Okay.
questions to the group.
Yep, we'll be here, and if anybody needs to go, feel free, but we'll make ourselves available for that. But the last question that was submitted to us was, about nutrition. And so, we know that an athlete's life is very full. You know, they're staying up late, they're studying, they're getting up early, they're working out. And so, Coach Neal, what are some things that they can do to help, provide nutrition?
Absolutely. And first of all, this is an open invitation to any athlete we have, and I talk to the boys all the time about this. My office is open. So if I've got a young man who is struggling getting the calories he needs, maybe getting his diet under control, there is an open invitation. Set up a meeting with me, sit down, and we will find a way to move forward and take the next step nutritionally, whatever you need. I've had probably 10 or 11 guys this semester sit down with me and say, hey, here's my goal, how do I get there? And so that's open to any young man, any young lady that needs it. We'll make a personalized plan. Now sometimes that's as simple as sitting down and just saying, hey, what are you eating? And they say, well, I have hamburgers and fried chicken every night. Well, it's pretty simple. Then let's cut back on the fried stuff. And sometimes it's a little more complicated. Here's the calories we need, here's when we need to take them in, those kinds of deals. So I mold it to what the athlete needs. In general, especially for our athletes who are really, really busy, and I get it. I worked with college athletes for 5 years, and they're putting in 90-hour work weeks between athletics and school, and then they're on a tremendously tight budget because they got no money, and they're trying to feed themselves and get adequate calories during that time. So it's a difficult concept to move past when you've got school and workouts, and you're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're going to bed at 8 o'clock at night, you got homework. How do I get the calories that I need? How do I get it throughout the day? And I'd say the first thing you have to do is eat for what you're doing. The big challenge I have with young athletes is they have early morning workouts and they don't want to eat breakfast because it's early in the morning. Or they have an afternoon workout and it's 4 hours separated from lunch because they ate early, and now they've got nothing in their tank when they're going through the practice. So you have to teach your young athletes, eat for what you're going to do. If you're coming to a workout, you are not allowed to step foot on this campus till you've had breakfast. And it doesn't have to be anything nasty. It doesn't have to be eggs and sausage every day. I tell our athletes before and after workouts, carbs are extremely important. You've got to have complex carbs. Whole wheat, breads, cereals. If it's just a Nutri-Grain bar, you need something with some carbs to give you some fuel for your workout. The same goes afterwards, whether it's competition or you're in a workout with me. If you don't eat after you're done, you just wasted your time. You just wrote a check and didn't cash it. Is what I tell the guys all the time. If you come in and work out and whatever work you put in there, your body cannot recover, it cannot repair, it can't rebuild, it can't get bigger and stronger if it doesn't have the material it needs. That's just science. They cannot come in and work, and your body cannot build new muscle, repair the muscle that's damaged, repair any damage tissue-wise, whether that's ligament or even injuries. Training room stuff, you can't recover from injuries if your body doesn't have adequate calories, because it's going to use your food that you eat, your calories you take in for basic bodily functions first, and then recovery second. If you don't give it enough and you don't give it to it at the right times, it's just going to starve itself. So in season, it's extremely important to get a lot of meals in. You've got to eat before and after every workout, proteins and carbs. You've got to be eating throughout the day. I tell our athletes all the time, when you've got chances during the day, just eating breakfast and lunch is not enough for an athlete. You're burning 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day just as a young man or young lady. And then on top of that, you're probably burning 1,500 to 2,000 during your workouts. A lot of my guys come in and I'll ask them, how much are you eating? We'll actually send them home with an app on their phone, and they'll start tracking what they eat for a week. And they'll come back and say, hey, I took 2,200 calories in per day. That's not enough. Average for a 180-pound young man is really 3,000 to 4,000 is what they need to maintain their body weight, maintain what they're doing. So a lot of young men and young women are desperately in need of more calories. So I always tell them that overall, if you've got a nutrition pyramid, I wish I had a diagram up for you. If you've got a nutrition pyramid, the base is how much you're taking in. If you take too much or not enough in, you're wasting your time. So if I got a young man, he's eating all the right things, really lean proteins, high quality carbs, he's taking them at the right time, but he just doesn't have enough, bad things are gonna happen. Your body's in a starvation state. Or if I got a young man who's trying to lose weight, and he's just taking way too many in, doesn't matter if they're good or not, way too many calories is gonna put you, set you up for failure. So that's the first one. Quality's next. You can get a whole lot of calories from ice cream and fried chicken, and it's not gonna fuel you very well in there. You've got to get your calories from a quality place. You've got to get the right balance of proteins, carbs, and fats, and you got to make sure that they're coming at the right time. And timing's the top piece of that pyramid. You got to make sure you're taking calories at the right time. If you've got an athlete who's struggling getting total calories in, okay, so you've got a young man, young lady, that are saying, I eat before workouts and after workouts and during the day, but I'm just not getting enough. I'm still losing weight. After your dinner meal, before bed is a great time to get some calories in. Now, I'm not saying ice cream. I got a shocked look over here. You got to remember that for your young athletes, their metabolism's through the roof, and they're burning 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. And their best time to repair their bodies, the best time when they recover, build muscle, repair tissue, is while they sleep. And if you don't feed your body before you sleep and you expect it to grow, you're lying to yourself. You've got to take calories before you sleep. Now, I'm not saying ice cream. I'm not saying even peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. A lean, low-carb protein shake is great before you go to bed. If you are trying to gain a little bit of weight, that is a good time to take in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before you go to bed. That's not a bad thing if they're trying to gain weight. Now, if they're trying to lose, obviously, that's not ideal. It's all based on where you're at, what your body type is like, what your goals are. But that's a great opportunity to give your body something to feed on overnight. Because if you starve yourself, I tell the guys like this, first thing they do when they sit down with me is I say, when's your first meal, when's your last? And they'll say, oh, I eat breakfast at 7, for some kids they don't eat breakfast, and I eat dinner at 6. I say, how many hours are in a day? 24. So you just ate for 11 hours and starved yourself for 12. Whereas if you eat a meal at 10, 11 at night before you go to bed, not a huge meal, just get something to recover in your stomach. Now you shrink that window down to 6 or 7 hours. And that will help you tremendously if your goal is to gain weight or even maintain weight or recover in the middle of a hard season. Those are really important factors. So those are kind of my things nutritionally. I tell them that you've got to take a ton of water in all the time. Stay away from Gatorade. Stay away from your Gatorade's full of sugar. It's not good for you. It's a Coke without carbonation. I would much rather them take in water as their main source of hydration. And if you are underhydrated, so like let's say you're prepping for a football game or a basketball game or a tournament, Pedialyte. Way more electrolytes in it and salts in it and things you need recovery-wise than Gatorade, first of all, and a lot less calories. It tastes terrible, but it's really going to prep your body for those tournaments and those harder weekends, those games that are really, like let's say we got a football game and it's going to be 100 degrees that night. That's a great prep method 24 hours before. The last thing is sleep. I talk about sleep all the time. That's when your body heals itself. That's when it recovers. That's when it grows. That's when your body does the things it needs to do to maintain your ability to perform out there. And if you're not getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, you're hurting yourself. And if you're not sleeping on the weekends because you're staying up all night playing video games, you're hurting yourself. You've got to take care of your body in those ways if you want to be successful on the field in that way.
Good stuff.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
Okay, my son Jake loves a snack before he goes to bed.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a bad habit. Okay, just because for myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm doing nothing compared to what he does as far as working out. So obviously I need to encourage, because he loves Wheat Thins, the multi-grain Wheat Thins, and Swiss cheese.
Okay.
And then like a glass of milk that I've been sneaking in like a protein shake and half an hour. So I guess just start re-encouraging that instead of going, no way.
Well, it depends on what his goals are. If he's trying to lose weight, then I would stay away from the carbs before bed, because
Yeah.
carbs are an energy source.
Right.
Carbs are what I use to fuel activity. So I'm not really having a lot of activity during
Right.
sleep, right?
Right.
So that's a good time to go away from the carbs, go towards healthier fats. So not necessarily your cheeses and your meat fats, but more
Like little pieces of turkey.
like
He loves the little pieces of like.
turkey's a
roasted
great
turkey
option.
cuts.
Yeah,
Okay.
turkey's a great option before bed. Nuts are a great option before bed. But I try and stay more towards the protein side,
Okay.
in that before med meal, unless he's just desperately trying to gain
Yeah,
weight,
yeah.
and then have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. Yeah.
We're maintaining, so keep
So
sneaking in, maybe more.
if we're maintaining, like, just have him go turkey with a little bit of cheese with it
Yeah.
to give you some
And
flavor.
sneak in
That's
some more.
cool. Yeah.
It's protein, it's like 21 of protein.
Yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
turkey, chicken's a great option if he likes
Okay.
protein shakes, a lower carb, lower sugar protein shake. He
Yeah.
may not, those don't taste as good.
Well, if I sneak it in, I'm sneaky about it.
Yeah, so those are kind of his options. Yeah, I would
Okay.
stay away from the high carb, high
Okay.
cheese, high fat type stuff.
Okay.
Eating canes with double fries before bed.
Not unless you're about
Oh, my
100
God.
pounds short. I can't say I never did that in college, I was trying to gain 100 pounds, so.
Before we move on to general questions, does anybody else have any nutritional facts or
Sounds good.
questions for David before we move on? Any others?
I just have a quick question. I have a younger girl, seventh
Mhm.
grade basketball, and I just wondered about incorporating nutrition with this age group because they're starting to get plugged in, working hard.
Absolutely. I'm working on putting out a lot more information on our social media platforms so you get information that way. And we're gonna, obviously, the main thing is just after every workout, we talk to them. We reinforce, hey, this is what you need to do. You just bust your tail for me. You gotta take in food. You gotta hydrate. You gotta prepare yourself. And a lot of it comes, I want to communicate these ideas with y'all too, because you're their main nutrition source. If you're not on the same page I am, it doesn't matter. So a lot of it needs to come from you. And if you want to say, hey, Coach Neal said to do this, do it. And she'd come ask me and say, yeah, I said to do that. And so we're getting it from a couple of different areas. And then we're gonna try and like I said, this year's foundation building for us. We're trying to get everybody unified, moving in the same direction. It's a lot of technique work right now with what I'm doing with athletes in there and the girls side of things. But we're trying to get more resources to y'all. We're trying to, I've already talked to Matt Haber about getting some videos together that can be available to y'all and the athletes on nutrition, on sleep, on recovery. There's actually a video I want to make just for female athletes because they face some challenges that the males don't. I worked with girls soccer at the college level for a while, and getting poor nutrition for a young female athlete is more than just she's gonna not perform very well. It's dangerous to her health. A lot of reproductive issues, a lot of developmental issues and stuff like that. So anyways, we're trying to get more resources available to y'all. But the biggest thing is I'm always available. My email's on the website, my email's on our Twitter and all that. If you want to get a hold of me and you want her to come talk to me, set up a meeting, she'll come sit down, we can talk. I'm available to anybody that needs it.
Who's your female counterpart that works with the girls?
Christy McCullough, she actually just went over to PE, she's got an early PE class.
Okay.
She's our female strength conditioning.
And is she, I mean, are you working with her? You guys are doing the same thing with the girls?
Yes, yes. And she's been here longer than I have, so we're kind of in the process right now of converging our departments to kind of meet the same expectations.
And two first, I work with Christie in middle school, and starting in January, we're gonna start addressing nutrition, body image, self-esteem, and also with the middle schoolers as well, that are in off-season. So if they're with a sport, we don't necessarily always see them, but it is something we're gonna start in January on Tuesdays, because we have an hour and a half of them, so
I know
it's a
that
key
you're
time. And
really
then,
into the nutrition side.
yeah, and I pour into my swimmers and my parents, and thank you for backing up on Gatorade, because I still get fought on that, but I'm like, no Gatorade, the parents still send it, and I go, thanks, garbage, you know, I mean,
It's
yeah, so
it's
it is.
not ideal.
It's got the same message that we still, yeah, it does.
Like, I can't do it, I'm not doing it.
I'll say something on Gatorade. When I was at Texas and Cincinnati, we don't even give our athletes Gatorade and powder. They had special Gatorade. Gatorade would send us different packages for the athletes because it had the actual amount of sodium and electrolytes you need because their regular product doesn't. If that gives you an idea. So like when we would give our guys,
Gatorade's bad.
Yeah.
when we would give our guys stuff, they would send us special packets that were for actual athletes instead of the stuff they sell in the stores. So that gives you an idea on Gatorade and powder.
Lesson learned.
I would follow up to a comment you just made. One of the uniquenesses about Liberty is our community. I would maybe ask or suggest if you would be up for this, maybe you and Christy put together a seminar for us parents on this, because you made the comment that we're leading the charge in nutrition of our kids. Some of us, clearly I'm an example, probably aren't doing the best. But I would really maybe encourage that, maybe in an evening, just bring us in and help us, give us that roadmap.
Absolutely.
Help us reinforce what you're telling them, because they've heard obviously more than once. And a lot of times what they hear from us, they don't believe, so we gotta have somebody like you and Chrissy to communicate that. I would encourage that.
Absolutely.
I like
Kendrick,
that idea.
to add to that, Coach, you've done amazing with Logan. He comes home, yes, my grocery bill has gone up. Seven scrambled eggs he wants in the morning, but he comes home, but he's excited about results that are happening. So, I mean, it's hitting. I mean, I try to talk to him years and years and years about it, but what you're saying is, it's clicking. And he's got the app, he's got everything in front of him, he's got all the tools, he's got you, and it's on the refrigerator, what he's supposed to do, and it's working. And he can start to feel the results, see the results. So I just wanted to give you a shout out for that. But what you're doing is awesome.
It's a life skill that
Yes.
you're able to teach.
Yep.
That's gonna benefit them
For the rest of
the rest of their life outside of Liberty.
So, you have any questions?
Quick question, just how many total paid staff are in the athletic department? And of those, how many are just doing athletics, where they're not doing an assignment?
Yep, so we have a staff of about 60 total coaches, and so that includes our athletic administration, and also includes our youth director, which is over about 300 youth athletes as well. So total, we have about 60. We manage about 700 total athletes. And then out of that 60, we have about 25 that are coaches only. And so the rest of those are in the classroom.
Thank you.
What are we doing about encouraging the snack time in middle school and high school to have some healthier options, or not even options, just
That is
healthier
hard.
stuff, period? I mean, and not bringing in crap, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Don't go back.
I second.
Can't take her anywhere.
I'm gonna piggyback on that, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily fall under athletics, but it is something that we can, with David and Christy, can communicate to the people that are making those choices. That from an athletic perspective, it would be beneficial for us if we were offering these types of options. And so we can do that on our part. We can have those conversations.
Maybe, I mean, they said the table right outside my office every day.
Yeah.
Maybe we make a table of just healthy options.
Right.
That maybe the athletes go towards and the others that aren't playing athletics follow.
Really, it's all about healthy
Lead the way.
options.
Lead the way.
They all need healthy options.
Yeah.
And I've actually sat down with a middle school guy who needed to lose some weight, and he's like, snack time, I forget what he was getting, it might have been a honey bun every day or something, it was something awful. Donuts, it was donuts. And I went down with him, I walked down and said, okay, the Smart Pop, awesome snack, you can get that. The Wheat Thins, awesome snack, you can get that. And we actually pointed out, because they do have a few limited healthy options, not as many as I would like. But there's always, I tell the guys, it's always on you. There's always a solution. We just have to find it. And so I would love to get together on a snack. I think that's something we should do. But there are some options they can find starting today that are actually healthy options. Like I just said, the popcorn, great snack every day. They just have to choose it. At the end of the day, it's on them.
So my question's around testing, like, my son, I feel like I'm weighing him at home more than I should be.
Yeah.
And I'm not reacting probably correctly when I see him losing a pound or two. And you know the situation, we need to get him.
Oh, yeah.
So, are you guys like sitting down and weighing them every week and go, hey, Reed, your goal is to be 165 next year or whatever? And
We don't weigh pre-workout here right now. That may be something in the future we can do. My athletic period's the time's just tight.
Sure.
It's really tight, and so we'll have 70 kids come down. If I weigh 70 kids,
yeah.
we're not getting a workout in that day.
Well, I'm not asking like
Yeah.
a daily, but maybe every 2 weeks or something where they just pop in and they have to record their own weight and report it to you or something. I don't know. I feel
That's
like
a goal in the future. I also have to buy a scale. I don't have a scale yet.
Well,
so.
I'm invited. I don't know how much are they, and let me know.
We'll figure it.
They just got better.
No, seriously, come get with me. We'll figure out a way to do
Okay.
that. And maybe I'll have a special group of guys that need to gain and lose, and they weigh in specifically every Monday. And that may be an option we have going forward.
Or the best time to weigh.
The best time, well, and here's the other thing, the best time to weigh is right when you wake up. And that's why I tell our guys when they come and sit down with me is, hey, when you wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom, that's when you weigh every day because it's consistent. You eat a big lunch, You're up here, you don't drink enough water that day, you're down here. You got 2 to 3 pounds of fluctuation water weight every day. So ideally for Reed, if he's trying to gain weight, he needs to weigh first thing in the morning every day.
And not 3 times a day.
And not 3 times a day, yeah, because then you think you gained 3 pounds when really you just drank your water for the day.
I think my question, you know, I'm not sure he's trying to gain weight. I'm trying to gain the weight for him. And so I want to transfer that, I want to transfer that accountability to him versus
Absolutely.
me just weighing in and him going, yeah, I've lost a pound, it's a big deal, you know, I mean.
I think that needs to be a combination of me, you, and our head football coach.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of the times me as a strength coach, I may not think a kid needs to gain or lose weight like his position coach needs to, or sport coach needs to, and then the sport coach may not think he needs to lose or gain like the parent needs to. And so I actually think it's a great idea for us to have a special group of guys who are gain or lose, who have been brought forward either by parents or coaches. Hey, we need to get him up 5 pounds, or hey, he needs to shed 10 pounds. And we come up with a plan for it. I'm kind of cautious on pushing the weight gain and weight loss for the entire group, because I've seen it create bad habits too, and I've seen it create fear of the scale and fear of eating correctly, and I want to enforce those good habits. So I think it's a much more individualized deal with that. Now I'm fine with, if we got a special group of 10 dudes who, you know, we're gonna weigh every Monday before we work out, you gotta write your weight down, we gotta keep it sharp, let's do it. But I think that needs to be something that happens more on an individual basis.
Okay, yeah, you're the coach, I'm just fishing for.
But I'm all about getting down with Reed, and we're gonna let's put some weight on, because I'm in your boat.
He took
right
his
there.
shirt off the other day, and I mean, he's obviously doing a lot of weightlifting, and I was like, dude, is there any fat?
I can help him.
Yeah. Well, I can too.
My question is a little different in that I'm not sure my athlete knows who you are, and I'm fairly sure he avoids you. So, my question is gonna be, you know, he's a good sized kid, he's a soccer player, I mean, so, but I really think that he hasn't spent really any quality time in the weight room. So how do I, and if I try to tell him, hey, we need to go have a meeting with David and sit down with Coach Neal and work this out, he's gonna look at me like I have 6 heads. So how do I, you know, can I talk to you about him after this? And so
Yeah, absolutely.
you can go to him and say, dude, you need to see me.
Absolutely.
Because his diet, I mean, literally, Cane's last night at 10 o'clock, double fries, right? So, you know, that was after an hour and a half soccer workout, which he had another hour and a half soccer workout before that, with school. So he's horrible.
Yeah.
And, you know, because Mom and I have been harping on him and harping on, if you're gonna be an athlete and you wanna be a college athlete and all this other kind of stuff, you gotta make changes. So, and it's coming from here.
No, I understand that, and soccer's actually a program where I'm working with Jorge on getting us more and more involved together. They're grinding right now, because they got 2 games a week, practice every day, and soccer's a very big overuse sport. And what I mean by that is they tend to lean on too much, and they just need to rest and recover in season. So we're trying to implement weight workouts and get me involved with them more, but at the same time not throwing so much on those kids' plates.
Well, then he has clubs on
Yeah.
top of all that as well, so I mean, he's.
And that's another issue we actually need to address as a program, is the balance between club sports and school sports, because a huge issue with every sport except for football really is that these young men and women are doing so much that their bodies are never allowed to heal and grow, and it's almost like they're doing more work than professional athletes are, and you're setting yourself up. The reason girls and guys soccer has such a high ACL rate and concussion rate is because those kids never get off the field, and when you never get off the field and get stronger, you never have that recovery period, then you just increase your risk of injury in the season all the time. And so that's actually part of, we talked about the seminar, we've thrown around the idea of seminars and meetings and also doing videos to get these kind of ideas out there. And I want every parent to have the resources they need on, hey, my kid needs 6 weeks off from nothing, no sports at some point in the year, if I want them to be a healthy young man or a healthy young lady. And that's even more true on the girls' side. So that's another thing we need to talk about with the community is what's too much? How do we balance the workload? Because like I said, getting with Jorge right now, his guys are playing club soccer, in-season soccer, school, and you want me to throw on 3 hours of lifting in the week with them too? The body just can't handle that. And so we have to find that balance together.
We're gonna take one last question. I know you had your hand up, or we had two.
No, I just had a suggestion.
Okay.
You know how you would put a seminar, why don't you get some of the athletic parents that have like played pro sports or something to come in and talk about how, what they did to help their bodies. Like, they started here as a kid, maybe eating Snickers, or, I'm just thinking from my husband's experience, where I watched him when he was 15, he would eat Snickers and a Coke and go play however many innings. And then as an athlete, when he made it to major leagues, it went completely like body change, we were on a sleep cycle, diet, everything like that. But I feel like if they see that and hear it, like, because there's so many resources out there. And that would maybe call them in and kind of talk to teachers about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got a question for David. In regards to all the kids at school, the training, do you put them through like a body confidence test?
Body comp test?
Yeah.
No, we don't really have the resources to do I'm not a big skip caliper guy.
Just the ability
Yeah.
just to be able to, if you're gonna put them in the gym,
Yeah.
knowing they've got the ability to do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
Prior to working out.
Are you saying body composition or like
Competence.
competence? Oh, no, our first thing we do, and that's why I'm so involved with middle school, is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I take our middle school groups, if they're not in sport, they're with me. And we work on nothing but technique for those 3 years. And I honestly, my proudest moment this year was when one of my 7th graders who came in and just, God did not give him a lot of athletic ability, and he has struggled with just the basics in the weight room, and he went in and did a full power clean, like correct technique, which is the most technical lift we have, and he did it awesome. I was just like, I was ecstatic about it, because this young man got something really difficult. He went so far. It was the most advancement I've seen in an athlete since I've been here, and so we do a ton. The thing, I was telling basketball this morning, I told those guys, our young guys, you do not put extra weight in that bar until our technique is right. So the competence, I guess what you would call it, the technical, I call it body mechanics. Being able to be confident with your body, that's something we're enforcing every day. And that's something I would say is more an art than a science, that when I've got guys in that weight room or on that field that can't move correctly, my job is to teach them to move correctly. And I'll pull guys out all the time and say, hey, you're going to a 25-pound bar today and you're working technique. And especially on the younger end of things, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, 9th graders who haven't been with me a long time, new sports, when soccer comes in, they're with me. It's not every day, but they're with me. When they come in, it's much more technical, much more, can we do things correctly? So no, we don't have I don't do, what's the name of the test? It's big in strength conditioning right now. There's a movement test, movement screen, functional movement screen is what a lot of teams do. And I don't do that screen for everybody across the board. I don't have the assistants capable of doing it. I have 250 athletes, so me putting 250 kids through a movement screen just isn't practical. But I can tell you every day when they come in, if they're not squatting correctly, they're going to do no weight till they can. And if they're not able to pick the barbell off the ground correctly, they're going to learn to. If they're not, any movement, if it's not done correctly, if they can't do an RDL, they're going to. We kind of, I know I'm talking a ton today. We have 5 functional movements that are the base for everything we do. 1 is a squat, 2 is a pull from the ground, so the ability to pick something up correctly. 3 is a hinge, which is the ability to bend correctly at the hips. 4 is a push, and 5 is a pull. So you gotta be able to do all 5 of those things correctly. And whenever a guy comes to the weight room for the first time, those are the movements we hammer in until they get them right. And then we stem from there. We advance off there. If that answers your question.
Yeah, all depending on what sport they're doing.
What their sport and what they're capable of.
And 2 on the girls' side, I know middle school, we reinforce that, it's body movement first, and a lot of the middle schoolers don't do weight, and I know Coach Mack is the same way with high school. You know, she's really adamant about body movement, making sure they do it correctly in their form. So just as what we does for the boys, I know it's happening on the girls' side, and she really slows it down into just a bar or body weight before they are weighted as well.
Well, I think, again, thank everyone for coming. We are always in a constant state of evaluation. And so our athletic administration team, we meet all the time to try and figure out ways that we can be better. And this is just one part of that. And so in review of what we discussed today, we're gonna have another Breakfast of Champions somewhere in either January or February. And based upon what we discussed as a group, we're going to get with SNAC and try to figure out a way to get some healthier options, potentially a separate table. And then we're going to put our work in and come up with a nutrition seminar. And you guys can look for that the first part of next year as well. And again, as always, if you ever have any questions or comments, feel free to give us a call or stop by. Thanks again for coming. We're gonna make ourselves available here. If you need to go, feel free to do so. We do have a drawing. Why don't you go ahead and
Free peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I need mine.
You still live? David.
Randy Rorick.
What do I win?
You get to come pick. We have different, I think we have different sizes too.
Sorry, it's too small.
You've got to work out with Coach Neal.
It's not the right size.
You have to wear it out.
Okay, I'll take the XL. Thank you.
For that. All right, thanks again. There's still coffee, there's still, I think, muffins that are available. And we as coaches are here as well. So thank you for coming.
Celery.
You know, we've been at home and everything all year together, we just never give each other.
How are you?